We are 2 days away from Super Tuesday, and the stakes could not be higher for Nikki Haley. By the end of this week, more than half of all delegates will have been allocated. After another round of defeats last night in caucuses in Michigan, Idaho, and Missouri, Nikki Haley is facing the possibility of a wipeout on Super Tuesday. As I was getting ready to talk to you, I was looking around at interviews that you had given, and it occurred to me, I would be so awfully daggone tired of people asking me when I was going to quit. You get asked when you're going to quit 5 times a day. You can't go out of your house. Have you had enough of people asking you when you're going to quit running for president?
You know, Chris, they were asking me when I was going to quit back in July. They were asking in August. They asked before Iowa. They asked after Iowa. They asked after New Hampshire. They asked after South Carolina. And they will ask multiple times today. And I think that they have probably realized that, look, we have a country to save. And I am fighting because as long as 70% of Americans say they don't want Joe Biden or Donald Trump, as long as there are states out there that say they want their voices heard, we're going to keep doing it. I mean, we've had thousands of people in Virginia. We had thousands in North Carolina. We're now here in Boston. We're going to have a big event tonight. We have big crowds everywhere because it's people who want a new generational leader. They don't want to have to choose between two 80-year-olds for president. And they know we need to go in a new direction. We can't keep going in all of this chaos. And I think that that's what we're trying to offer them as an alternative.
So you mentioned you're in the Commonwealth of Massachusetts. And this is the conundrum for you and your campaign, which is for the 2020 election, allies of then President Trump, now former President Trump, pushed through rules changes, and in a bunch of states pushed through rules changes to basically protect frontrunners, to protect incumbents. Massachusetts is a state where there's a lot of Nikki Haley voters. We saw just across the border in New Hampshire, there are plenty of Nikki Haley voters in New Hampshire. There's plenty of Nikki Haley voters in Virginia, particularly in Northern Virginia. There's lots of these folks around, but with these rules changes, if Trump gets to 50%, gets over 50%, he sweeps all the delegates because of the rule changes. How do you confront that? How do you and your campaign think about dealing with that?
I mean, it's really pretty amazing to see what has happened with the rules changes. All you have to do is look at Nevada to see what happened. All you have to do is, look at what's happening at the RNC, that he, before a primary's over, has put his daughter-in-law as the head and is putting his campaign manager to run the place. And look at the fact that he's put $60 million worth of campaign contributions towards his personal court cases. And we see this with, multiple elections around that they've changed the rules. But you know what? We just keep running through the tape, because I think at the end of the day, if he's changing the rules, if there's nothing I can do about it, I can still be loud. I can still make sure that people's voices are heard, and we'll still try and fight. Okay,
so you tweeted out a poll from the New York Times. This poll, by the way, is a poll that Democratic despair here in Washington tonight. You can feel a plume of sorrow hanging over the city as the New York Times poll came out and basically said Joe Biden is the pits when it comes to persuadable voters, and he is down 5 points in a head-to-head matchup with Trump. He's down 10 points to you. You said that Trump is barely outside the margin of error. But he is outside the margin of error. And in every poll for weeks and weeks, Trump does beat Biden, right? You beat Biden by more, but Trump does beat Biden. Talk about an electability argument when basically what you're saying is anybody beats Joe Biden, but I'd beat him by more. Why is that a persuasive argument to make to Republicans?
Well, I think, first of all, if you don't want to look at that, look at what's happened around the country. I mean, I was in Michigan. In 2012 in Michigan, they were a bright light. They were winning seats up and down the ticket. They had passed right to work. They were like being hailed as an amazing state. I was just there. Since Trump took office, since he became president, they've lost the governorship, they lost the state house, they lost the state senate. From there, I went to Minnesota. The exact same thing happened. I went to Colorado. No Republican has gotten over 45% statewide since Donald Trump became president. You go to Virginia, same thing. Glenn Youngkin was able to win governor, but he had to keep Donald Trump away from him. This is the fact that everything Donald Trump does, he loses.
Thanks for watching. Go to joinnn.com to find NewsNation on your television provider. And don't forget to click the red subscribe button below to get more of NewsNation's fact-driven, unbiased coverage.